you're in the right place. This is Girls Can Tell, hosted by Trent Erickson, here to say what everyone else is too polite to.
So, can you rebuild trust? Or is it that once it's gone for good? I'm sure you've heard the sayings like, trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. Or, time heals all wounds. And it's likely you haven't given them all that much thought. But let's take a closer look at how they actually play out in real life. Trust is the thing that holds our relationships, friendships, families, and even our jobs together. When it's solid, you don't even think about it. But once it's broken, you can think of little else, and it screws up everything. So today, I wanted to dig into whether you can actually really fix things after betrayal. And it's not a simple yes or no. There's a lot that goes into it. Trust is like glass. Seems like a weird analogy, right? But it works here. Okay, imagine trust is a piece of glass, like your phone screen. You drop your phone 2 days after you bought it, and instantly there are cracks all over the screen. Well, sure, you might still be able to use it, but those lines are always going to be there. It's never going to look or feel quite the same as it had before. So they did some studies on this, quite a few actually, and they all show once trust is broken, your relationship isn't the same anymore. There's this clear divide between before and after. A lot of people waste so much time trying to get back to the way things were, but it's not realistic. So the real question should be, can you build something new out of what's left? And would that even be worth doing? Betrayal can hit you like actual trauma. And up to 60% of people who've been betrayed in a relationship show real symptoms of PTSD, depression, or anxiety. Your brain reads it as a major threat and reacts by going into protection mode. That's why you can't always shake it off, even if they apologize. Your body remembers, and when it does, it tries to keep you safe. So rebuilding trust is actually trying to push back against your own instincts. And if you've ever tried doing that, you know it takes some serious work. The first betrayal sticks in your mind forever. You might forgive, and you might even get things going again and make it work. But that memory doesn't just disappear. It shows up anytime you feel unsure. And if it happens again, that second one hurts way worse. The new pain brings up old stuff and makes you feel like you should have seen it coming or at least known better. At least the first time you could claim ignorance. This time you're mad at them and yourself. The whole thing just compounds. People mix forgiveness and rebuilding all the time. But forgiveness and rebuilding trust are different things. Forgiveness is mostly for you. It's about letting go of the bitterness and anger so you can move on with your life. You can do that without ever dealing with that person again. And sometimes that's really the smartest and healthiest move. But rebuilding trust takes both of you. It's about them showing up consistently, keeping promises, respecting what you need, proving they're dependable day in and day out. Forgiveness might be a one-and-done thing, but rebuilding trust is a long road and it could take years. Look, trust can come back, but it has to be under the right conditions. Experts say it requires being totally open about everything, checking in to stay accountable, showing real remorse without excuses, spending time together to rebuild the connection, and explaining honestly why the betrayal happened in the first place. These things sound pretty simple, right? For most people, they're anything but. Just letting time pass or throwing out promises isn't going to do it. It takes real, consistent actions you can see and feel. For couples who decide to go all in and commit fully, about 86% manage to keep their marriage or relationships intact. But full commitment is the hard part. Most people don't have the emotional intelligence, the will, or patience to stick with it. Most people just want a quick fix. When it comes to romantic relationships, trust can be broken by things like cheating, lying, and keeping secrets, so it gets intense. When these things come up, they might swear up and down they'll fix it. And hey, maybe they will. But that innocent, easy trust you shared is gone. Now every little thing, like a text that comes late, makes you second guess. Now, a lot of people stick around because the idea of starting fresh scares the hell out of them, or because they've invested so much time and energy into the relationship already. That's more like damage control than anything else. I've done this more than once, where I no longer completely trusted them. They'd say they were fixing things, and I thought it was better than starting over. Plus, part of you wants it to work. It never did, and being alone or starting over with someone new would have been best. At that point, the biggest red flag to look for is if they always tie their wrongdoing back to you somehow. I did this because something you did made me do it. That's their not-so-clever way of putting it all back on you while not taking any responsibility. Now, family, that's a whole other ballgame, right? Well, not really. If a parent or sibling betrays you through abuse, neglect, or straight-up lies, it's extra devastating. And there's this pressure to forgive because, well, they're family. But that doesn't make it okay. Just because you come from the same people shouldn't mean anything. That doesn't magically make them a person worth knowing. Families are forced relationships. You don't have a choice in who you're related to, but you do have a choice in how much space they take up in your life. Sometimes trying to rebuild things only sets you up for more disappointment. I know people who have spent so many years chasing relationships with parents or siblings who never changed, and all it did was drain them. In those cases, setting some boundaries or creating some distance can be what saves you. This stuff shows up at work, too. Say your boss lies to you, or the company pulls some shady shit. You remember that. You might keep showing up for the paycheck, but you're not all in anymore. Companies love to talk about building trust, but most of the time, they just hope you'll eventually forget. Once you've seen the dark side of how they operate, especially when they think no one's looking and can get away with it, it's tough to invest emotionally again. You end up guarding and protecting yourself because you've lost faith in your company doing it. At the end of the day, yeah, trust can be rebuilt in some cases, but only if there's full ownership of the mistake, real changes made that are consistent over time, patience on both sides, maybe some professional help, and a long-term commitment to all of it. But it's not common, because most people aren't willing to put in that kind of time and effort. When it does work, though, a lot of couples, almost 80% who make it through doing all the work, end up saying their relationship is stronger and more honest than before. So, instead of thinking of it as recreating the past, think of it as building something entirely new. Although it might have been a good time to ask those couples if they only stuck to it to not have to start over with someone new, but I wasn't running the survey. Here's the thing you rarely hear asked. Do you even want to try? Just because it's possible doesn't mean it's the right call for you. If they want another chance, that doesn't automatically mean they should get it. An ex of mine claimed to be going through therapy and doing the work, but I quickly realized her version of what happened between us was so delusional that no amount of therapy was going to be able to help her. Because a therapist can only help you based on the information you've given them. And if you're giving them false information, always making the other person the problem, that therapy is completely useless. You have to be mature enough and honest in order for therapy to actually help you grow. And that means admitting fault, not just trying to justify the story you have to tell in order for you to feel better about yourself. Therapy isn't for validation, it's for getting an honest, unbiased look at a situation. But taking an honest look at yourself is way more difficult than you can imagine. Some people just aren't mature enough to do that, and a therapist can't help. When someone's shown they can betray you, take that seriously. The first time might be a mistake, but if you give them a second chance and it happens again, well, that's on you too. It's totally fine to say, "Nah, I'm out," and protect yourself. You don't owe anyone a second chance, and don't be pressured into thinking you do. If it doesn't feel right or something seems off, That's telling you something. So, can rebuilding trust really happen? Yeah. I mean, if the conditions are right and everyone's all in for the long road ahead, yes. But let's be honest here. A lot of people would rather skip the hard parts and just want everything to magically fix itself by saying they're sorry. You don't have to go along with it. Sometimes the best thing is to walk away and start fresh with someone new. All right, I hope that helped you, and I hope you feel a little better prepared if and when that happens to you. Do those things all the other podcasters tell you to do at the end, or don't. I don't care. Take what works for you and skip what doesn't. And always question things when you feel it in your gut that something doesn't quite add up. Because usually there's something there. Okay, goodbye. Honey, wanna go for a walk? Okay, let's go for a walk.